One simple trick for getting unstuck. Hi everyone, welcome to Business Mindset Mastery. My name's Heather Gray. I'm a mindset and performance coach for online business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs, and you can find me over at choosetohaveitall.com. Today we're digging into a topic that I find in my inbox and in my messages an awful lot these days. And people are asking me, how do you get unstuck? When you find yourself frozen, stuck in one place, motivated on some level to move, but not really sure what to do next, or feeling like you simply don't know what direction to take because there are so many options. I want to dive deep today with one simple trick. This isn't going to be the only tool you're going to need in your toolbox for this. This is one tool you can add to your arsenal when you're trying to figure out who you are, where you are, how you got here, and where you want to go next. So listen in. A lot of the people that find me because they're stuck in one place. They've gotten in a cycle of starting and stopping. They don't know where they want to go. They just know that they're not happy where they are, or they're stuck in fear. And there's a lot of different ways and approaches that coaches can have on this topic. And there's a lot of tools in the arsenal you can pull out. But here's one that I don't hear spoken about often enough. And I used it myself this weekend, so I wanted to share it with you. So those of you who might know me personally or have been listening into the show know that I've been on a bit of a journey for the past couple of years. My clinical background is in social work. It's where I started my career 20 some odd years ago. I started working in agency work. I did that for about 10 years or so, and then I owned my own brick and mortar private therapy practice until 2015, when I really just simply got burnt out from the mental health aspect of the job. I wanted something new, and I started building this online coaching business that you're coming to know me through today. It was a long journey. It started in 2015 with just this thought that I didn't like where my professional life was. I didn't like how it was making me feel. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I felt like there was more out there for me and I was capable of more. I didn't know what, and I had to hire my own coach to find out. And since then, I've built this online business, choosetohaveitall.com, and I work with online business owners and leaders on their business growth strategies, because they have the business mindset, but they don't always have that emotional backup, the net that they need to like hold them and carry them through when they're taking big chances, taking big risks. And I help them see on the, my point of view from the outside looking in, where they need to tweak their mindset to really take themselves to the next level and raise their game despite whatever fears or insecurities they have. Doing this kind of work, inevitably, at some point in time, I am going to be talking to a leader who's just stuck and unsure of where to go next, what to do, and they've lost sight of who they are. Now, one of the things I think that happens, and one of the reasons why this happens, is we don't update our version of ourselves as we go through the journey. So whenever your personal development journey started, whatever brought you to this show that has you asking yourself deep questions, has you engaging in personal exploration, whatever that process was and whenever it started, have you updated your version of yourself and your story about yourself, of who you are, what you do, and what you're capable of, now that you've moved through this period of hard work and self-discovery? I started my business 2 years ago, this new online business that you're learning about today. And this weekend, I had an opportunity to kind of put a stamp on it. I'm a member and faculty member of the Screw the 9 to 5 coaching community. It's a business coaching community that helps people leave their 9 to 5 jobs and find the time freedom, the lifestyle freedom, and the financial freedom that they can do to like build lives lives on their own terms. And I offer mindset consultation to their business coaching program that they have. They had their first live event this weekend in Austin, Texas, and I got to speak for the first time under my new brand. Typically, I'm used to doing that as a therapist when I'm, sort of required to meet targeted bullet points of information so people can get their continuing education credits. And so this was a really big treat for me. And I got to talk to people about getting in the driver's seat of their own lives and making sure they were heading in a direction that they wanted to go. But that speech put me at a personal crossroads, and I'm looking forward to telling you about it. 2 years into this online business journey, I'm really starting to see some specific, measurable, and observable signs of my success. Obviously, the bottom line is improving. I'm getting more and more referrals each week from, current clients or people who are hearing about me. But a real stamp was put in the process this weekend. I consult with the Screw the 9 to 5 coaching community. I had an opportunity to speak for them at their live event. And this weekend for me marked a moment in time where I could put a stamp on the transition from online newbie to leader. And it's really important that I pay attention to that. And that's the trick that I want to teach each of you. When we are in the process of building our businesses, creating our new lives, moving through change, facing the hard, and dealing with all of the little wobbles and trips and stumbles that come with personal development, sometimes we forget that an important part of the journey is that we stop and take stock of who we are now that we've moved through this process. We have to mark the mile markers along the road. We have to stop and check in with ourselves about who we are, what we've learned, and what our values are now that we've come through this process of personal development. A lot of times when people are lost and they don't know what decision to make, it's because their current version of themselves and what they're actually capable of has not been updated. They're still carrying their old perceptions of themselves, their old stories of limitations, of things they couldn't do, things they're afraid of, and they haven't checked in with themselves now that they've done the new thing, now that they've gone after the big goal, now that they've shot for the moon and reached for the stars and done every, sort of exaggerated version or description of goal setting. They've been goal diggers, all of that. Fill in the blank. You know what I'm talking about here. But they've done all of that and they've never stopped and taken pause to see how they're different and how they've changed, what things they care about now and what things they simply don't care about, what their values are, what their priorities are, what's most important to them now that they've been through this process. And sometimes when people don't know what to do next, it's simply because they've lost touch of who they are. It's real easy for me to keep identifying as a newbie in the space because compared to some of my mentors, I still am. I do still have a lot to learn, and I am not, that does not escape me, just to say the least. I know that there's always more to learn and develop, but in the past 2 years, I have accomplished a lot. I built my website, I built a following, I built a blog, I've started a podcast, I now consult for 2 business coaching groups, and I'm working on coaching in doing that for a few more programs, in addition to my online, one-on-one work that I do with people. Now, as I think about all of that, and then I think about being the closing speech for a weekend-long event of a business coaching program, I realized that I needed to take a moment to pause and to say, who am I now that all of this has happened? And who do I want to be? I identified really clearly that I no longer wish to consider myself a newbie. I'm not new to the space. I'm certainly not new to business. This is my second business. But in this weekend, on, just a couple of days ago, I put a stamp on that transition from newbie to leader. And I gotta tell you, it feels really great. What does this mean, and what does it tangibly look like? What's the takeaway lesson for you? The takeaway lesson is that now that I identify as a leader, as I make decisions, set plans, goals, and a vision for myself, my life, and my business going forward, I'm forced to ask myself a question. How would I do this as a leader? Or what does it look like for me to do this as a leader? I can't move through the world as a newbie anymore. I've gotten too much experience. I've learned a lot about online business. Obviously, the learning never ends and I have more to do, but I know the game a little bit. I know the deal. And when I still act as a newbie, I'm playing small and I'm hiding and I'm not showing up, because I tell myself a story that gets connected to that word newbie, which is still has a lot to learn, less to offer. I have to update that version of myself so that I can step into this new version of myself that leads, teaches, guides, and moves people into inspired action. Now, as you think about your journey, what's brought you to this show, the things that you're struggling with, the things that you're wrestling with, maybe they keep you up at night, maybe they distract you during the day, but you've been learning a lot. You've been exploring a lot. You've been asking yourself questions and trying new things. Have you taken a moment to pause at the crossroads like I just walked you through? To put a stamp on the change process that's happened thus far, even though you know that there's more to go and more to do and more to see and more to conquer? Who are you now that you've made a commitment to rebuilding your life and have started to take action on it? How does your story change? How have your boundaries changed? What are your preferences? How do you set yourself up for success to move through the world? What do you need to move through the world successfully? That is a lot of questions. And maybe I am a little bit misleading when I say I have one simple tip, because that one simple tip is attached to an inner dialogue that'll keep you busy for a couple of weeks at least. But these are the things you have to check in with yourself about. Otherwise, you still carry the old version of yourself with you, and you use that old version of yourself to make decisions about your present day. And when your old version doesn't match up with your current goals, you're going to experience an immediate disconnect. Things are going to feel unfamiliar. You're going to start to feel lost and unsure of yourself. But when you move through the world in your present day, with all of the awareness of who you are now that you've done this chunk of work, it's so much easier to get clear on where you're going next. So if it's been a while of you slaving away at things, working really hard, grinding it out, hustling it out, and you haven't taken a moment to take stock, I want you to schedule that moment into your planner. Because we know if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. It's time to check in with yourself to see who you are, what you think, what you believe, what's important to you, what your goals are, on that, and where you want to go next. So take a moment to take stock. Tell me what you find out. Let me know. You can email me over at heather@choosetohaveitall.com. You can find me at my Facebook page in the group by the same name. Or if you're really stuck and you need a little more guidance, find me over at choosetohaveitall.com/guide. There's an ebook there with more tips for getting unstuck, and you just might not need that to get through till tomorrow. Until that conversation, thanks so much for joining me today. I really love checking in with you and telling you about my weekend, and I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.